Good day to you, my fellow endoskeletons. I'm Kenetor and welcome back for another Starbase progress report. We're on week 21 of 2021, and if you're new here, I bring the latest news and updates of everything Starbase every Monday. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss out. Plus, it really helps out the channel. Now let's get to it. The countdown to early access continues with 17 days to go till the launch of early access in Starbase. Although over in closed alpha, however, we only got a minor update with a blueprint filler being added. This will pull loose parts into the blueprint of your ship automatically, so you don't have to place them or print them in place when repairing your ship. And new tutorials were also added. All in all, it was a slow week for progress. But once again, I have a whole host of dev quotes for you, with yet more tiered items as well. And that's exactly where I'm going to start. Earlier on in the week, we had these images drop for the thruster exhaust lengths. And it didn't take the community long to realise these thrusters looked just a little bit different. These red stripes and markings over the model look suspiciously familiar to the new tiered generators, and it's certainly the same colour. Well, today we got it all confirmed with this image showing off that yes, indeed, we are getting tiered thrusters. First, I just want to say there are two main reasons for this that I can see. Firstly, many items require either small or large amounts of rare ore that is not found in the safe zone. And given that our first ship given to us by the tutorial can't be taken out of the safe zone, how are we expected to ever leave it? Well, this is where the blue lower tier items come in. Cheap and easy to produce, but with large drawbacks, all lower efficiency and effect. Carefully chosen and balanced to get us out of the safe zone to the further depths of the belt, where we can start getting the mid to higher tier ores to build tier 2 and 3 items. The second reason for them is in the higher end items. These will either provide more power, thrust or effects to either make something stronger or to reduce the number needed, and thus keeping your ship smaller and thus more efficient in the process. Back to the new thrusters, and Vil once again saves the day with some last minute updates in time for the video. Just like generators, the red tier 2 thrusters are equivalent to what we have now, with the tier 1 version being the ghetto solution for space travelling robots. Vil goes on to explain the central combustion chamber is the only part that doesn't have tiers, as they don't really affect the output or consumption of the thruster, but they have a model for them nonetheless. The main components affecting performance will be all the rest: the nozzle, body, gas and electricity converters. The one combustion chamber might change later on, but right now they would only change the weight and armour of that piece. So you must be thinking, can we mix and match like the generators? Well, yes we can. And even better, we can do it with more than the generators, as tier 1s can enter the mix as well. These higher performance pieces come at a higher cost of resource consumption, and you will get about a 20 to 30% boost in thrust going from tiers 2 to 3. This is great to see the strength of Starbase's modularity really come into play now, especially with the multi-part objects like thrusters and generators. Joel is back at it again with doubling down on his stance on not putting out more invites yet, to adding no 100% promise of more invites anymore. This is deeply saddening to me, as the language used here feels very uncertain, almost as if they don't really have a plan for the end of closed alpha testing. This is a big red flag moment in my book, and it feels like they have their heads in the sand and hoping for the issue to just go away by waiting it out until early access. If the devs don't have the time or resources to set up large invite waves, they should just say so. Otherwise, all of this should have been planned out when they set the final launch date in place. It's looking like Frozenbyte are going to gamble on the stability of the game at launch rather than test it. So let's hope we don't see a repeat of the server issues that plagued Last Oasis on its launch. And speaking of the launch, our first Lowry quote touches on what we can expect to see for the starting stations. We've all known for a while now that the plan is to have multiple starter stations rather than just a single origin station that everyone gets stuffed into. But the amount of these stations will be scalable based off the growth of the player base. And there are optimizations in place, like all the instance areas for the starter jobs for example, that will help each station take in many players, as well as landing pads and the ship designer and creation areas. Larry also mentions there are some secondary servers that are also shared between larger groups of players, and issues may happen here, but all the servers are scalable on the fly as well. He warns that launch will of course come with some issues, but just how many and how severe is something they will find out. But Larry also says they have measured the servers to handle tens of thousands of simultaneous players, with peak most likely around the first weekend or after that. However, since sales are very predictable, they are able to scale servers early on if the sales indicate they need to. Now, I know there is no way to have a perfect launch on a game or MMO like Starbase, but you know what could help before launch? Scale testing. If only I knew of like 30,000 odd players that could help out with that. Let me know in the comments if you know anyone with some hours to spare to help test the game. Who knows, we might find a few people. Larry continues they are just adding more optimizations there, as currently it is not as optimized as it could be. But the main tool is that the players get to select the origin where they want to start, and the population is shown on the selection screen, and they can dynamically unlock more stations if needed. These stations are all in viewing distance from each other, and you can freely travel to them quite easily, so they are in the same universe, but just enough distance to keep it running better for everyone. Something interesting and unique with these starting stations, however, is that they will all have a shared inventory and auction house. This means as the player base moves away from the origin stations, they can merge them down to less stations as needed to keep the stations feeling alive. They will have different colours and numbers, but otherwise these stations will be identical. The goal is to get a fair population to each station, as alive stations are very cool with ships taking off and coming back all the time. Moving over to player stations now, and Lowry was quizzed for more information on the new resource network for stations and the substations they use. He says its current wording for any kind of area or devices connected to the station network. You have this one resource network at a huge station that delivers resources between multiple sub-areas like factories, hangars, etc. A substation is more like an area, which can be quite large too. The resource network delivers resources to that general area where you can build the actual factory, for example. Substation has a utility box which connects to the resource network, as long as the network is somewhere inside the area. So you don't need pipe or cable to the main line, but you do need pipe and cable from the utility box onwards. The main line itself is built from those large pipe pieces. And yes, this is the same network that will run on the capital ships too. Larry was also asked what about marketing for the game, and of course he replies starting with a disclaimer about how the game technically works but is unfinished. And the 17th is just the beginning of a long journey. They will update all marketing materials and the Steam front page to focus on development stage instead of features, and will finally start their marketing efforts by showing that the game is not completed, and to look at the roadmap for how incomplete it really is. The devs, as well as us in closed alpha, are painfully aware of how unfinished this amazing project is, and by being self-aware and not hiding that fact, this should help potential buyers of the game make an informed choice with all the facts they need. This is a very upfront and honest way of doing things, and something I can really agree with, since early access titles can be a bit of a lottery in terms of completion, content and quality. Larry continues with acknowledging that there are some pretty completed games lately in Steam's early access too, although the majority still are not, and they are definitely in the not very completed bracket. He then reiterates that Starbase stays in early access for at least 2 to 3 years. I've got a few quotes now on the future of Starbase, kicking off with factories, which Larry claims to be the most delayed part of the game right now, admitting that doing factory at their levels of scope isn't the easiest thing to do, and their approach just takes time. He also adds in answer of someone's concern to not doing anything like Dual Universe, that they are definitely not picking up any design solutions from Dual Universe. And hot damn does that make me breathe a sigh of relief. Next we have a quick one about player owned and run ship shops. They are coming down the road, eventually taking over the dev shops. Once this happens, dev shops will be discontinued, and these new shops will need full manufacturing, delivery and logistics. And now looking to next year, Larry says the 2022 roadmap is a blank canvas, and they will fill the 2022 roadmap based on how well they actually did in 2021 and what's feasible, best and most wished for by us the players. So he would guess by late this year they will know better. And for our last quote, Larry has a very important message on how to stay up to date on all things Starbase. And I quote, "Kenetor has really good videos, and our latest feature videos are also good for information." End quote. So there you have it. Make sure your friends know about this Kenetor dude on YouTube, and we can all stay up to date on Starbase together. Now don't go anywhere, as we have a cool feature video coming up at the end, but first let's dive into this week's progress report. The main design features worked on this week are Design for starter station selection interface has been completed. Design for capital ship cargo halls has also been completed. Design for new configurations for ore distribution have been started. Labourer modifications have been tested in easy build mode. And tier 1 and 3 thrusters and generators have been worked on. Station design returns this week, with insurance terminals have been removed from fast travel gates and the Moon City. Changes in the Quasar Systems ship shop, with the Morningstar has been added. And moved from Rando 2, we have the Wolverine AC, Wolverine Laz, and the Wolverine Plaz, all put into Quasar Systems. We also have the following ships added to the Duratech ship shop: the Hanar Mark II, Heptaphili Mark II, and Haratha Mark II. Changes in the Rando 1 ship shop, we have the Andromeda added, and the Scrubbless has been removed. And orientation of the Manatee and Moonfish ships has been fixed in the Oki ship shops. Now onto the gameplay updates. Support for choosing the starting station has started. Fix for station multiplayer changes causing station foundation units to replace built foundation modules with empty ones has been worked on. Work on easy build mode for stations continues, with holograms and crafted modules can be placed down. Some improvements on jointed object stability regarding ship ownership and cargo have been made. Fast travel cores required for fast travel have been worked on. Chat warnings are now displayed when a ship exceeds the building budget, and parts of the tripod code have been refactored to allow for better handling in some syncing issues. Our UI updates this week: our work on company bank statements continues, company ships UI has been worked on, further improvements and fixes have been made to the access page. Company ships are now sorted by name in the navigation tree, like personal ships UI, and receiving mail from ignored players has been prevented. In this week's audio, we have revised sound effect support for pickaxe has been worked on, and fix for some audio signal devices sounds left playing after the device disappears has been made. Over in designers, we have some station device configurations have been made to fix an issue with device detection, and station utility network detection has been implemented to the station utility grid screen. In this week's animation, we have new animations when carrying objects while unarmed have been worked on. A new reload animation for the shotgun has also been worked on. We have just the one station art update this week, with Moon City layout has been updated. And lastly, other updates this week: our tutorial spaceship Labourer module variant has been upgraded. It's now slightly bigger and has more ore crates by default. It's also now equipped with a transponder and a radiator. Fast travel core assets have been worked on. Box thruster and triangle thruster quality tier colours have been added. Work on capital ship interiors continues. New effects for grab, pipe, cable, bolt and building tools have been added. Assault rifle, battle rifle and whiplash muzzle VFX have been updated to work better in aim down sights. Small fix to the glow levels of buzzsaw VFX have been made, and new SSC icons were added. The one and only Cody has sent me a new video today, and this one shows off his latest creative creation: a recreation of the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. This thing has alarms, a bomb bay, multiple firing locations, including a tail spot, which will be perfect for when the tripod mounted weapons are released. This ship even has working propellers, which I can tell you is quite the feat, I assure you. Now, some liberties had to be taken in terms of thruster placement, but he's really done an amazing job getting the shape right, especially the large sweeping tail fin. So check out the link in the description or the top right to go check out the full video tour of this crazy spaceship. Also, don't forget, if you do get into closed alpha, already are, be sure to send any funny or awesome clips and recordings my way for a chance to be featured on the channel. Feel free to contact me on Discord or come jump on my Discord server, which is also home to my faction, the K-Bots, should you be looking for one to join. As always, please smash that like button, share this video with your friends and faction, leave a comment with any questions you want answers to, and I'll see you in the next one. Kenetor, out.